Well, good morning, everybody. Time check is 10:03 Beijing time here. My name is Alex. I'm here with Ai-Chung Ching, and just want to wish you all a very good morning. Lots to unpack today. Lots of stuff going on here in China. Of course, you can read the media in the Western media overnight. Lots of things, of course, as predicted, misinterpreted, and that is for certain. I've got a special guest that's joining me today. His name is Noel Lee. Of course, you've seen him before. He was on a recent live stream with me here. And well, without further ado, I'm going to bring Noel onto the program. Noel, how's it going there where are you? Shenzhen or Guangzhou? Where are you?
Hey, Alex, good morning. Thanks for having me back. Glad to be
Pleasure.
back. And I'm actually here in Dongguan, over here in Guangdong, just slightly north of Shenzhen.
Well, fantastic. Thank you for joining the program. And I just want to say hello to everyone that is watching. Yesterday, we had a great show. And of course, you guys know today, yes, the Congress continues, and we're well aware of that. And we're going to, once in a while during this program, step in to see what is being said at that very, very important meeting. For all the viewers that are not familiar with this meeting, basically, this is predicting what the world economies are going to be doing over the next few years here. And as you see, we do have a live stream ready to go in the background. Thank you to our media partners throughout China that are providing this excellent coverage of the 20th CPC National Congress. And of course, you're saying the authorities brief the media on new development philosophy and high quality development. Lots to talk about as well. We do have some highlights from yesterday that we will talk about. Day two, it was quite the event. Lots to unpack, Noel, lots to unpack. As you can see here, this was day one, but of course we're in day two, and Xi calls for building a modern socialist China in all respect as key CPC Congress opens. Xi urges continued focus on real economy and pursuing growth. Excellent news to hear. Xi expounds on the three major events over the past decade. They went into detail about that yesterday, and we will brush over that topic again just to give you and the audience an understanding about that. And the CPC's unswaveringly advanced cause of national reunification. That is where the media, I knew it yesterday. I predicted it yesterday. I could tell yesterday that is the point that they're going to focus on. And it really, like when I was talking with Mario on the program, I thought, oh man, they're going to focus on the China-Taiwan. They're just going to be relentless in the media. So I was watching the media overnight to see basically, what what the Western media's coverage of this was going to be. And I was not, they didn't let us down, Noel. They didn't let us down. But as you can see here, China downplays the need for rapid growth, proclaims COVID achievements. That's exactly not what he said. Okay, it's not what he said at all. And then it just goes on to, they were using other kind of verbiage, I'll call it, during their press releases in the West here, the collective West. They were talking about, Xi said he will use force if needed. Xi said he will, there's no doubt about it. There will be reunification, and the onslaught continued throughout the press headlines overnight. And of course, today we're going to wake up and it's going to be a continued about nothing. They're not going to say anything positive. We know that. So they're just going to focus on the negatives. Noel, what was your take yesterday on the opening?
All right, Alex, first and foremost, let's get something out of the way. It's CPC, right? It's written there in words, black and white. So there's no reason for anybody going forward to be calling it CCP, unless there's some reason to call it CCP, right? So it's CPC. We have it there. It's English. It's letters. You can see it. Yeah, so coming back, I have to be honest with you. I've not followed the previous Congress, because back then I was still pretty much in slumber, not knowing what's going on. And since being in China, that allowed me this path to slowly figure out all these things. And then this Congress came at a time, and what a time, right? Because they do it 5 years. And if you do the math, every 5 years means that this is now the 20th, because it's 100 years of the CPC, right? So this Congress is very important, and one of the stark aspect of this is that, unlike the previous one, which was a marathon 3-hour speech by President Xi, this one was much more subdued, just under 2 hours. But I guess main points, as you've just brought out in bullet points there, were addressed. Again, the takeaway from me in that speech that I actually got into, I would say about maybe more than midway into the speech, what the takeaway for me is that President Xi always mentioned the word peace. I think he mentioned the word peace a few times, and it's always about peaceful reunification. It's always about peaceful society and everything peace. Now, allow me to just sidetrack a little bit. When have we ever heard the other side mention peace,
collective West,
other than freedoms and human rights and all these things?
They're calling us their adversaries.
Right. So yeah, I think in that speech yesterday, what was very clear to me was a few aspects. Again, in my summary, right, that China, it's a reassurance, or it's a underlining again to the people that China has come this far, and it's not about to start slowing down and be complacent. The relentless push for progress, peace, and prosperity is always there, and it harkens back memories of myself being a Singaporean. How we got there, it was based on all these kind of values, right? The founding father of Singapore, Mr. Lee Kuan Yew, laid out the plans to build Singapore into what was a fishing village back in the day,
extraordinary story,
till what it is today. It's all, it doesn't happen by magic. It just doesn't, like, snap your fingers and it happens. It's true relentless pursuit. It's always about working hard every day, doing something every day, doing something. That's a key word, doing something. So China has done a lot of things, and I'm here to actually see it myself visually. I was here back in the early 2000s. I first came in 1994 to Beijing. So I saw the massive progress, whereas in many people's television screens and phone screens, they still see China as the picture from the forbidden city. That's it. They think that China
stereotypes
is just this,
as well.
Yeah. So over to you.
Yeah, it's an extraordinary growth where you are. And I think that this is one thing that every single person from, I'm going to once again refer to us as Western countries. You need to get on a plane when China opens. You need to discover what is happening in this world. And there is a very peaceful country here. That word peaceful that President Xi used yesterday. 1.5 billion people want peace. Very often, if you listen to the Western media, again, they will use words like China is our adversary. China is the enemy. China invoked, higher or less growth on our country because we've lost production. There's a lot to be said about that, and educating your civilians of your country. First, lying to them as a leader is very irresponsible. When it's just like content creators. When we have an audience, we have a responsibility to at least say the truth. And also we have some persuasion on our audience who trust in what we do. And same with the media. And this is broken down a lot here in the collective West here in the last, well, I would say last decade at least, where people have stopped trusting media, or they trust what side they have an opinion on, but then their leaders of their country doesn't trust anybody. And then inside the government, you got division, and inside the government, then you got even more division from depending on how the parties are set up in certain governments. For example, the United States, you have the House, and then you have the Senate, and sometimes they don't agree. Now they'll call that democracy, Noel, but you have to understand that some of these senator seats are won with influence, one with financial influence. If a senator gets in there, and it's very, very kind of under the glove, where you don't talk about this in Western society about, what promises did you make to get that senator seat? It's kind of comes with the territory. Just want to say hi to a few people in the comment section. Thank you so much for joining us here on a beautiful Monday morning here in China. We're in many places today. We're going to be bouncing through Beijing all the way back to Chongqing and then down to Seoul. So we've got a lot of perspective on what's going on here. As you can see, we do have some coverage. We will be adding to the program as soon as the people get to the microphones there, but I don't see any activity there at one of the main press centers right now. So we'll just hold fire on that for the moment. Everything else looks good. Let's just see if we got any. Yes, we're going to go to that feed now. Okay. All right. One moment. And bear with us. Here we go.
Focus on the imbalances and inadequacies in development, fix the shortfalls, shore up the weak links, and cement and play to our strengths. We will uphold the general principle of seeking progress while maintaining stability, fully and faithfully apply the new development philosophy. In all respects, move faster towards a new development pattern, promote high-quality development, and make new and greater contributions through our concrete efforts to fully building a modern socialist country and advancing the great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation on all fronts. I'll stop here. The floor for questions. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chen, for your briefing. We'll now open the floor for questions, and please identify your media outlet before raising the question. The press conference is conducted in simultaneous interpretation. If a question is asked in English, it will be translated into Chinese consecutively.
Wow, very efficient, eh, Noel?
Yeah,
谢谢主持人。农民日
Thank you. With Farmers Daily,
全是国之大者。
food security is among a country's most fundamental interests. General Secretary Xi Jinping has stressed on many occasions that cannot slack off one bit on the issue of food security and must always stay alert. My question is, what is the current food security situation, and is China able to keep its food supply steady and secure?
Good question. Very good question. This question is about food security, making sure that 1.5 billion people get fed.
Food bears on the future of a country and the well-being of its people. Food security is an important basis for national security. Since the 18th CPC National Congress, the Party Central Committee with Comrade Xi Jinping at its core has treated it as a top priority of governance to feed our more than 1 billion people. A new vision on food security has been proposed and a strategy on national food security set. All localities and departments have worked earnestly, and the farmers and professionals working in the area have made hard efforts. Our capacity in ensuring food security has continued to grow. There are 5 points I'd like to share with you. First, our food production has continued to grow at a high level. In 2012, it stood at 600 billion kilograms for the first time and has, since 2015, remained at above 650 billion kilograms for 7 years straight. It scored a record high in 2021, reaching 682.85 billion kilograms, up 70.6 billion kilograms from 2012. Our per capita food production is 483.5 kilograms, which means that exports and abundant stock aside, our per capita food production alone has exceeded the internationally recognized food security line. Second, the basis for food production has continued to cement. Our national farmland stands at 127.87 million hectares. We have established 70.53 million hectares of functional areas for grain production and protected areas for important agricultural products. We have 60 million hectares of high standard farmland, and the contribution rate of agricultural, scientific, and technological progress has reached 61%. The full coverage of improved varieties of food crops has been basically achieved. Third, the circulation of food is running smoothly with high efficiency. Nationwide, standard warehouses have an intact storage capacity of nearly 700 million tons, and storage conditions have generally reached world advanced levels. We have actively promoted market-oriented acquisitions featuring diverse market entities and channels and good quality and prices. We have done good work in policy-based acquisitions and guarded the red line of ensuring that food grown can be sold. The food reserve system has been further improved and effectively playing the key role of protecting the red line, stabilizing expectations, and ensuring security. Fourth, our emergency response has been strengthened. There are 6,000 emergency grain processing enterprises, 43,000 emergency supply outlets, more than 4,000 emergency storage and transportation enterprises, and more than 3,000 emergency distribution centers capable of responding to various major natural disasters and public emergencies. Fifth, the food market runs smoothly on the whole. In recent years, due to various factors, the global food market has been quite volatile. In comparison, China's food market has seen ample supply and has been running smoothly on the whole. It effectively meets the needs of the people and has played an important role for the sound and sustained development of the economy and social harmony and stability.
I mean,
These
have you
5
heard
points fully
a
show that
political
China's food
figure in the
security
collective
situation is
West be
sound,
able to come up
and
with
we are
an
able
answer
to
like
keep
this
Chinese
before? No.
people's rice bowls
It
firmly
will
in
just
their
be
own
word
hands,
salad.
so to speak. And the rice bowls
Sorry?
contain mostly grains grown in China.
A Western
Going forward, we have
response will be
the
just word
foundation,
salad.
condition, ability, and confidence to always maintain the initiative in securing our food security. And the path of food security with Chinese characteristics is bound to become broader and
This is
wider.
impressive.
Thank you.
Impressive, absolutely impressive answer. And
我看后
well
排也有
detailed.
很多记者举手，我们给后排记者一个机会吧。西区，这是倒数第3排。
And to everybody watching, we'll answer your questions once the news conference
谢谢
is
发言
coming to
人
an
向
end.
金鱼岛报记者提问。党的18大
Thank
以
you.
来，
Economic
18
Herald
年
of Hong
新六
Kong.
区发展
Since the
战略
18th
和重大
CPC
举
National
措，
Congress,
请问
China
成
has
效
rolled
如
out
何
a
在
series of
国家在
strategies
如
and
何
major
进一步
measures
促
on
进
regional
粤港澳
development.
大湾区
What are the
建设
outcomes
实现？
achieved, and how will we further develop the Guangdong, Hong Kong, Macau, Greater Bay Area?
This is for you, Noel.
Thank you for your question. I will take this question. It is a very important one. Since the 18th National Congress of the Communist Party of China, General Secretary Xi Jinping has personally planned, deployed, and promoted the coordinated development of Beijing, Tianjin, Hebei, the development of the Yangtze River Economic Belt, the construction of the Guangdong, Hong Kong, Macau, Greater Bay Area, the integrated development of the Yangtze River Delta, and the ecological protection and high-quality development of the Yellow River Basin. These are a series of major regional strategies with overall significance. The policy system that supports the development of the Western region, the revitalization of the Northeast, the rise of the Central region, and the growth of the Eastern region at the lead has been further improved, and the coordinated development among regions has achieved historic achievements and seen historic changes. To be specific, first, the major regional strategies
have been advanced in an orderly manner. The top-level design for coordinated development of Beijing, Tianjin, Hebei has been completed, and work is progressing smoothly on all fronts. Beijing's non-capital functions are being eased at an orderly manner. The cumulative investment in the Xiong'an new area has exceeded 400 billion
Nice to
yuan,
mention that.
and
Huge
annual
development.
investment in Beijing's municipal administrative center has exceeded 100 billion yuan. The Yangtze River Economic Belt has seen joint efforts for protection and avoidance of large-scale development. The rectification of outstanding ecological environmental problems has been accelerated, and the share of good water quality has increased to 92.8%. The integrated development of the Yangtze River Delta is showing bright prospects. The construction of a collaborative innovation industry system led by the integration of science and technology industries has made remarkable achievements. Construction of major open platforms is progressing smoothly, and new progress has been made in green co-insurance. Public service has become significantly more convenient and accessible. The 1+N+X system for ecological protection and high-quality development in the Yellow River Basin has been built at a faster pace. The outline for this plan has been issued and is being implemented, and water resources are being conserved and utilized at higher standards. Second, the relative gap among regions in terms of development has continued to narrow. The economic growth rate of the central and western regions has been higher than that of eastern region for many years straight, and the central and western regions' share of national GDP have increased from 21.3% and 19.6% in 2012 to 22% and 21.1% in 2021. The economic development of Northeast China has gradually stabilized, and structural adjustment has been steadily advanced. In recent years, the three northeastern provinces have accounted for more than 1/5 of the country's total grain output, with around 1/4 of the country's commodity grain volume and 1/3 of the grain transfer volume. Their status as China's big granaries have continued to strengthen. Third, revitalization and development of special areas have been achieved. The 832 poverty-stricken counties and 128,000 poverty-stricken villages have all been lifted out of poverty. The
Truly
per capita
extraordinary,
GDP
that comment.
of 20 key cities in old revolutionary base areas has exceeded 60,000 yuan, and the resource output rate of resource-intensive cities has increased by more than 36%. In the border areas, they are seeing higher levels of prosperity, stability, and development. This is about the major strategies and coordinated development of regions. As for the Guangdong, Hong Kong, Macau, Greater Bay Area that you mentioned, over the past 5 years, the construction of the Greater Bay Area has achieved remarkable results. We have the 1+N policy system, which has been gradually built and improved. Major cooperation platforms such as Hengqin, Qianhai, Nansha, and Hetao have been advanced. The construction of an international science and technology innovation center has steadily moved forward, and the building of a modern industrial system has been accelerated. The connectivity of infrastructure has advanced faster with higher quality, and the alignment of rules and mechanisms have continuously stepped up. A living area that is suitable for work and life is gradually taking shape. Hong Kong and Macau residents can lead their lives in the mainland with ease. And in this process, we have all along focused on supporting Hong Kong and Macau and continuously boosted the functions of central cities. Standing at a new starting point for development, we will follow the decisions and arrangements of the CPC Central Committee, focus on key areas, including technological innovation, industrial synergy, and people's livelihood improvement. We will continue to be guided by the building of major cooperation platforms such as Hengqin, Qianhai, Nansha, and Hetao, accelerate the development of the Greater Bay Area International Science and Technology Innovation Center, and improve the center's framework of what we call 2 corridors and 2 points. We will promote the integrated development of the Greater Bay Area market and improve the functions of world-class airport clusters and port clusters. We will strengthen the provision of public services and make the Greater Bay Area a world-class area and an epitome of high-quality development. We will fully support Hong Kong and Macau in deeply participating in the building of the Greater Bay Area and consolidate their international competitive edge so that Hong Kong and Macau can gain broader development space and continuous momentum from the overall development of the country. Thank you.
That comment right there, fully support, ladies and gentlemen, fully support Hong Kong and Macau into the future. Amazing. We'll take one more question here, and then we'll go to our commentary after. One moment.
Thank you. I'm Dan Murtaugh with Bloomberg News. My question is this. How does the Chinese government plan to reduce its dependence on foreign imports of resources such as iron ore, crude oil, natural gas, and soybeans with the aim of becoming a more self-sufficient economy? Thank you.
Good question, Dan. Good question.
彭博新闻社，中国政府将如何进一步减少对铁矿石、原油、天然气和大豆等外国进口资源的依赖，以实现更加自给自足的经济？
谢谢彭博记者的提问啊，这个问题呢，
Thank you for your question, and I will take
您的问题啊，
this question you
涉及
raised.
到一个很重要的问题，就是呢，对
Your
构
question
建新
concerns
发
a
展
very
格局的
important issue.
理解和认识的
That
问
is
题。
how we approach and
党中
understand
央呢，
the new
提出加
development
快构建新发展
pattern.
格局的重大战略部
The
署。
CPC has put forth the
我们注意
important
到啊，外界呢确实存在一些
strategy
不同
of
程度的认识
creating the new development pattern. There have been some different perceptions and misunderstandings about the new development pattern.
孙叶李同
I then
在
noticed
答记
that
者问的时候，也回
at
答了
the
一个类
press
似的
conference the day before yesterday, he answered a similar question,
我这里呢，想
and you asked
重
about
点的
this
阐述一
issue
下
again
构建
today.
新发展格局的
So let me take this opportunity to share with you the goals and the requirements for creating this new development pattern.
习近平总书
Since
记
2020,
多次
A lot of these questions are repeated from the Western media. I don't know where they were yesterday. Bloomberg is asking a question that President Xi clearly answered yesterday in very big detail. It's nice to see that they can handle themselves in front of the eyes of the Western media. Today, this press conference it did start at 10 a.m. Beijing time. It is a lot of coverage, and there's going to be another one at 3 o'clock in the afternoon today as well. It'll be the second press conference. This will be going on throughout the day. We'll have a lot of reporting. I just wanted to bring up a couple of things here so I don't forget during this program. And then I'm going to get into really picking Noel's brain about a couple of questions I have, because Noel's in a very interesting part of China. I would call it, the warehouse of the world. It's extraordinary where you are based here in China. and you can tell us a few things about that. But before we do that, I did speak to one of my colleagues here, and a very, very smart colleague that has been, well, all the colleagues are smart, but she really knows a lot about the new corridor for new energy. And this is something that is going on, and massive investment here, the new international land and sea trade corridor. It's a logistic passage by the Western Chinese provinces and several Asian countries. This is really picking up, and I'm starting to hear it a lot more. The LISTC for short form, but it's really being picked up a lot. And what's interesting is I think we need to really keep an eye on these types of things here. Just coming to Chongqing a year ago, I've really started to notice the infrastructure, the amount of money that is being put in, not just in railways, but in logistical lines. And you can see this whole trade corridor. It goes all the way across China, through Russia, all the way into Europe, bounces down to Singapore. And maybe, Noel, you have some comments on it. Singapore is a massive country that has done a lot of, they got one of the largest ports in the world. Thoughts on Singapore?
Right, Alex. As I've just mentioned earlier in the stream, that we are really very fortunate, right? Singapore is a very fortunate country. Again, if you look at the history, Singapore was not an independent country until Malaysia kicked Singapore out of its territory. And there's a reason why Singapore is where she is today, because of the fact that she is in the center of the trade routes, right? The sea trade routes. I don't have too much information on that, but it is through this important strategic position where trade happens, and trade is wealth. So from this, the government was able to formulate plans. As I mentioned again, there has to be to-do lists. You can't just sit back, relax, and then expect things to carry on. Imagine if the plans weren't put in place to develop the airport, to develop the seaports, and just leave it there. Then people come by, they don't get their necessary services and stuff. They move on to the next available location, whether it is further north in Klang in Malaysia, or south in Batam, or so there's always options, right? But of course, if you develop yourself into the option, then that's where you will prosper. So I think China now is developing herself as the option, not as if this option is not already prevalent to many in the world. So a growing economy before second largest, going to be largest. These are all just numbers, right? And for the longest time, China has been trying to, play it down. We're not trying to be the largest. If we become the largest, it's because of by default. It is not because we strive to overdo or do better than you. We're just trying to do better than ourselves, right? Why can't the world see that? Why can't the world see that whatever China is doing, they're doing it for their own people. They are bringing people out of poverty for their own benefit, not for the benefit of who benefits when the people are out of poverty, right? So it's Cyrus mentioned it in his video, a great video that he did yesterday with Mr. Mike Pompeo in it.
I gave him that link.
So things about the falsehood that the outside world is spreading about China being authoritative, being all these nasty things. And then when you have a first glance at that Congress live, Congress, you as an outsider, not knowing anything, would probably think that this is, oh man, look at that. Everybody is seated, mask on, the whole place looks so like a prison, the whole auditorium is surreal. This is an authoritative state. No, this is a meeting of the highest order where adults and real people are conducting, they are delivering a message which needs to be processed and worked on, not just, in this year, out the other. You don't have people dozing off. It's a long speech, right? You have to be at your attentive best, because these are important words which you will be held accountable for. Those 900 plus delegates sitting there, they will be held accountable for if they do not do what is to be expected of them after this Congress. It's not just, let's listen to this Congress and then let's get out there, or let's carry on. But no,
it's accountability. You're right, Noel. It's
accountability. Depends on this. Yeah,
it's accountability. Alex. You're completely right. Accountability. And let's look at some of the milestones that have been achieved over the last few Congresses. The milestones are breathtaking. The numbers are breathtaking. The amount of people brought out of poverty. I mean, here we are. We're putting so much attention in, the achievements of what the collective West have done over the last 100 years. And I'm not talking about the wars that they've been involved in that have failed. I'm talking about, some of the achievements that, the United States, Canada, that, their space program, it was very patriotic. They told the world, they make movies about it. Hollywood continues to make movies about it. Here are some landmark things that have been done in this world that are absolutely extraordinary. It's a country that is moving forward. It should be embraced. It should be talked about. Do they make movies about it? Do they write nice articles about it? No, they don't. They look at the negatives. And that is where we are really failing here to educate the rest of the world that if your country is in decline, which it is now, we are about to see the third prime minister in the United Kingdom in a year. That's how bad it's getting in these European countries right now. They are about to replace, we're hearing, it's not exact yet, but the rumors are already been beating over the weekend that her term could be up. Now, the UK law says that she can't be replaced in 1 year unless there's a vote of confidence and the rules are rewritten, but they will do what they want to do to remove her. And this shows you that when you see a collapse in these governments, we saw a collapse in the Italian government, which had Mario Draghi, once was a savior to the European Union and well embraced in the financial markets, replaced. We've seen the Sweden government replaced, the Bulgarian government replaced. The list continues to go on and on and on, and the midterms that are coming up in the United States again. So these are countries that are only caring in the near future. And it's true. People that, and I'm talking about the collective West here. I'm not talking, a lot of the other countries that have really got their act together and actually, signed up to the Belt Road Initiative. But we are seeing a lot of countries here fail, continue to fail. We've just come out of a global pandemic, and these countries are giving China the advice on how they should come out of a crisis. Wow, it's getting spectacular. And there's a story I'm going to share with you guys here. I'm just going to bring it up onto the screen here. I watched that entire speech yesterday with Mario on the program. And we just knew it, Noel, that they would bring out a negative. And certainly I called it yesterday. You guys, the viewers here today, and I recognize a bunch of you guys from yesterday and girls, that did I call this? Did I call this yesterday? Indeed. Have a look at the headline coming out of CNBC this morning before the world financial markets are coming. Xi warns against foreign interference in Taiwan, says China will never promise to renounce force. That one line I predicted yesterday. I said that is the only line that they are going to bring up on their headline news today. And of course, they did it. And it's unbelievable. And here you could just see the quotes that they used. I mean, this is another hit piece. And you know what, Noel? You know what bothers me about this kind of stuff? where is the integrity with the Western media when it comes to this kind of stuff? Where is the integrity? It's gone. Comments, sir. Comments.
Well, first of all, either they need better interpreters, because translating something is different from interpreting, right? So the West has either, I mean, if it's genuinely a interpretation problem, they've got to give them the benefit of the doubt. But we know that it's not, right? We all know that, I mean, this game has been played on. And yes, you can be sure that people in suits and green screens can tell you that that's exactly what she said. Look at that. And they will even play the clip where he said something like that. So it's all taken out of context, right? Again, I mentioned at the start of the stream, and CNBC or whatever it is has not mentioned about the peace, the words peace.
No,
how many
nothing.
times you use the word peace, right? So they are always striving for peaceful reunification, but force cannot be ruled out. And that's what he said. It's not the other way around.
Yeah,
right?
and he was very clear. He was absolutely very clear about it. It's unbelievable. Let's have a check back in on the news conference here. If we hear anything interesting, we'll follow it now. Let's have a look. All right.
Volatilities and uncertainties are rising, which pose new risks and challenges to China's steady economic and social growth. Faced with the new situation, how can we build up national reserve capacity and emergency response capability befitting the status of a major country and effectively boost the ability to forestall and diffuse major risks? Thank you for your question. As a Chinese saying goes, preparedness against the unexpected is a good way of government. In recent years, the party's Central Committee, Comrade Xi Jinping at its core, has paid close attention and given strong leadership in this regard. Our national reserve has continued to improve, the system has become better established, and the network more refined, which helps us deal with major risks and challenges and provide a solid material basis for smooth running of the economy. On a new journey and faced with the new situation, we will continue to earnestly implement the important instructions of General Secretary Xi Jinping, balance development and security, pursue a holistic approach to national security. We will shore up weak links and play to our strengths, and accelerate the building of a national reserve system befitting the status of a major country. We will continuously enhance our ability and capacity to forestall and diffuse major risks and deal with the uncertainties and instabilities of economic growth with the certainty of our reserves. There are three priorities for us. The first is to improve the institutions and mechanism for national reserve, following the principle of government leadership, private involvement, diversification, and complementarity. We will step up the improvement of our mechanism with a focus on both the central government and local governments, and on both government and enterprises. We will enhance legislation in this regard and ask that all entities earnestly assume their responsibility. We will improve the mode of reserve and take an innovative approach to the management. We will continue to improve the institution of purchase, storage, utilization, and rotation, and boost the governance capacity of reserve. We will bear in mind the big picture with an emphasis on coordination between the central government and local governments to achieve optimization, collaboration, and high efficiency. Second, we will further enhance our reserve capacity with a focus on ensuring security in food, energy, industrial, and supply chains. We will earnestly implement our tasks in ensuring the reserves of key items such as food, energy, important minerals, and emergency supplies to enhance the foundation of national reserve and improve the layout so that when needed, they can be applied in a timely manner. In addition, we will step up infrastructure building with priority for comprehensive functions, networked layout, and intelligent management. We will continue to improve the infrastructure network for supplies storage and deployment. Third, we will give full play to the function and role of reserves. Bearing in mind the domestic and international situation, we will strengthen the role of strategic provision, macro regulation, and emergency response in order to better deal with major risks. Our reserve will fully play the role of ballast and stabilizer. We will give play to both effective market and proactive government and explore a better regulation system with greater provision, with greater precision, so as to keep the prices of commodities secure and ensure the supply of primary products. Thank you.
We can go over this point by point, but this is going to go on throughout the day. If you're not aware of it, that there are two press conferences. One was 10 o'clock this morning. We're doing some coverage on that. And the second one is at 3 p.m. Beijing time today. And well, as the Western countries wake up, I'm sure they're going to be coming out with some interesting headlines. I just wanted to commend my team that has helped me become very prepared for today's program. Thank you to Gao and Yuanqi for helping me out here. And of course, the entire iChongqing team for broadcasting this throughout our social networks. If you haven't already, please subscribe to Noel Lee's channel as well, and the iChongqing channel. We are on Facebook. We are on Twitter. We're pretty much everywhere covering what we can. Noel, where does China on the international stage this week, where do you think the Western markets or the collective West is going to put us? Are they gonna look at this speech yesterday as super negative? Are they gonna blame China again? Thoughts?
I think they're gonna be rubbing their hands and all this good stuff, right? Lots of good stuff, lots of stuff to be taken out of context. They're going to give China some credit for some stuff, I'm sure. It's not going to be all negative, right? Poverty alleviation, they'll probably say that just in a 1-2 sentence, and then the rest would be all about, the negative stuff about how, again, I think Taiwan would be the main.
Oh yeah,
thing,
they're going to be
right?
ringing
Taiwan,
the bell on that.
There's nothing else they can conjure up except Taiwan.
Well, they could also go on. You sent me something earlier here.
Okay.
Is it okay if I bring it up on the screen?
Yeah, that's
okay. I'm going to bring this up on the screen, and thank you, Noel, for. I mean, we have to tell the audience that there is a lot of stuff to unpack here. Okay. Please do your research in regards to this, this press conference today, the press conference yesterday. There is a lot of stuff to unpack here. And, this 20th National Congress is full of so many important informations, whether it's trade routes, whether it's talking about the COVID policy, whether it's talking about bringing people, out of poverty. There is a lot to cover. But this is a prime example of what collective West governments think they have control on their governments, think they have control on, the right path forward. But here we go again. We've seen it. You've just heard him say investment in the people, investment in the lives of people, bringing a better future for China, safety. They use the word safety. As you said yesterday, Noel, peace, peace, peace. There is no negativity in this press release. There's no name calling. There's no using the word adversary. How dare the collective West use such, verbiage towards, political figures that are actually supporting their economy. I'll give you an example before we get to your story here. We're in consumption, and for the viewers, everyone's asking where we are currently. Noel Lee, you're in what's the exact city?
Dongguan.
Can we say?
Dongguan.
Dongguan City,
Dongguan.
and
Yeah.
I'm in Chongqing, and these are very key cities here in China. Of course, you're going to hear a little bit more local reporting on the topics as we try to be in sync with the Congress that's going on here, but you're going to hear these cities continually come up. Chongqing, Yangtze River, trade logistics, trade corridors. China stays on the straight and narrow all the time. They continue to move forward and they continue to invest in their economies. They're not out there in the world saying, ha, look at us, we can do this and that. No, their heads are down, they're focused, they're moving forward. Now, if that is hard for people to comprehend, yes, I would be upset with my government if I had a failed infrastructure, if my airports were getting old, if my subway line was breaking down, if crime was on the rise, if millions of people have died during a pandemic, I would be completely upset as well. And yes, in the eyes of people, when they see China talk, they say, well, how is that possible? How is that possible? They have a stereotype, and the stereotype is China bad, China bad, China bad, China poor, China bad, China bad. And they continue on that. And it's unbelievable today with Western media that they will continue on that line. The moment that one Western media outlet breaks away from that and actually tells the truth about China, they actually might see their viewers increase. And funny enough, it might have a positive effect on its actual citizens of the country to demand that the government gets their books in order. How on earth can people with a straight face say that some of these economies have been held without any responsibilities? I mean, look at the UK. And I'm going to use the UK government. Let's bring on some of the headlines here, okay? Let's show what they really care about. This is one of the headlines here yesterday. My team has put this slide together here. This is the front page of the newspaper in the Independent yesterday, and I can just imagine today it's probably going to be all about them anyway, and maybe a small section about China. Maybe, okay? Just maybe, okay? If not, it's going to be a major hit piece on Xi Jinping about his comments on Taiwan. But this is Jeremy Hunt. He is the new ex-chancellor. He's the ex-checker, basically the guy that runs the books in the United Kingdom. He's basically ripped up the new prime minister's plan to have a mini budget. Well, what does that signal? The other MPs on that party? She's on her way out. That's the front page of the UK Independent. Now, let's continue to move forward on to the FT, the weekend. The reason why I put Japan there is one of the major shareholders of the FT is from Japan. So that should give you an idea of how this newspaper rolls. Once again, it's all eyes on the United Kingdom. Where is the coverage on China? Come on, FT. You are a financial newspaper, one of the most accredited newspapers with any integrity left. Where's your coverage? Not happening. Okay, we're going to continue to move on to other newspapers around the world here. This is France. Okay, en Chine, les pouvoirs sont vie de Xi Jinping. Well, basically, I would say that Le Monde is not anti and not pro. They're right in the middle. Basically, they're giving Xi the benefit of the doubt here, but with a little bit of skepticism, we'll say that, okay? And we're going to continue to move on to another newspaper here. Of course, USA Today. What are they talking about in the USA Today? They're talking about the January 6th panel, changed politics in America, and in search of lithium, changing our future. And the LA Council president resigns over leaked audio. Most of the stuff here is about scandalous stuff here. And you will see it continues to be negative, nothing positive, okay? Nothing positive. I mean, it's quite surprising here. And we're going to go on to the next newspaper. Wait, let's go have a look at what was the latest newspaper there. Let's come back. One sec, guys. I'm just going to pause it here as we get to the next slide. All right. So the Sunday Morning Post, quarantine for cross-border travel could be cut to 4 days as Xi ushers in a new era. Old leaders return. No idea. Noel, who owns the well, this is the Sunday Morning Post, but who owns the South China Morning Post? Is that
South China?
Is that
I'm not too sure about that. Yeah, I'm not too sure about that.
Is that the owner of Alibaba, the one that owns South China Morning Post? Maybe our commentators in the side post can say a few things. Okay, let's see. Yes, Noel's making a couple points here. Can I read the private messages or no? The ones that you sent?
Oh, yeah, you can. Yeah.
He's saying Andy YouTube channel Reports on China also did a great video to educate on the 20th Congress. That's right, correct. If you haven't seen Andy's channel, fantastic coverage with him. If somebody is aware of Andy's Report on China channel, can you please leave a link in the comment section for that? And I agree with you, Noel. He would be an outstanding guest to bring on the program. Amazing. Let's continue to move on with a lot of the newspaper clippings here. This is another one of the United States here, pretty much talking about Ukraine, more depression, murder rates. I mean, just housing crisis in New York. There's.
But on the flip side, Alex,
yes, tell me.
are in effect minding their own business by reporting only what is domestic for the newspaper. Of course, the newspaper is meant to be, reporting news, but really what is news is decided by the editor of the paper, right?
I agree with you, Noel. Yeah. But they're using the headline. Some of these newspapers are using the headline international. Some of these newspapers are quoting or based USA Today doesn't necessarily mean, and I agree with you, and I'm glad that we're having this, but USA Today basically means the United States of America today. Yeah, and to be domestic, you could be right on some of the local newspapers, but and I agree with you, but if you're an editor on some of these newspapers, I mean, wake up. Here we go. Here we got a comment here. The editorial staff is still pretty much under the control of the Murdoch clan. That is a condition imposed in a deal when Jack Ma purchased a large sum of the shares of SCMP. Good to know. Thank you for sharing that with us. We're going to bring up an interesting article that Noel Lee brought before the show here. We discussed it in minor parts, but I think it's important. And I can't wait to get back to our new studio here, because we're going to have a bigger team to work with here. As you guys know, Noel and I are just running the show, and remotely my team is supporting me with some very good research as well. But we are currently in some pandemic measures here in Chongqing. So we are broadcasting here from my home.
And to be clear, Alex, sorry, only a certain parts of Chongqing.
Correct. That's correct.
Majority of Chongqing is still good. Right?
That's correct.
So
that's correct.
The greatness of the system. So anyway.
Yes, and basically in the Yubei area where I'm in, they will have of course, green, then an amber, a darker amber, and then a red zone. Basically, the pandemic measures work. They're very effective. If you have a green code, no problem. You can still go out, but measures are in place. Yellow code, red code, more measures come in place. But in 7 days, things have already improved. Actually, I think we're on day 8 or 9 in my district here. Yubei is a district in Chongqing. It has a population of around 3.7 million. I think it's one of the best in Chongqing.
If I can just say a few words, Alex, before we get into the article.
Yeah, please do.
All right. So you see, the thing is that there's always going to be something to say, and I don't know why, right? So for example, when the pandemic started, right? And when China closed off the borders and had the lockdown, while the rest of the world was still, fine and dandy, everything's all good. I mean, this is all factual. You can go check back. The moment China locked down, February of 2020, the world was still fine. There was no lockdown. There was no checks at airports, nothing. Even though this virus was detected, I think, October or November of 2019, right? So nobody actually cared except China, of course. And when China entered the lockdown, the whole talk of the town was, oh, look at that. They are being authoritative. They are suppressing the freedoms of billions of people, having a lockdown. And after the lockdown, when China was okay, and then the world went into lockdown, because now they really felt, oh, this is not joke. This is no joke. People are just dropping dead in hospitals or whatever. And then the world locked down. So the time between the world locking down and China relieving themselves of the lockdown was a great time for China because everything was life as per normal. Now we're getting pockets of lockdowns here and there in China, and then the rhetoric is, oh, now look at China again. They can't seem to get this thing under control, right? They thought that, didn't they say that they were the best at handling the virus? Look at that, they are locking down again. No, that's because now that the world have people traveling, as you mentioned, Alex, there's some people coming to China on business, on student, and all these things. That's when people are coming back. Even the Chinese nationals are coming back from overseas. Before that, the Chinese nationals couldn't even come back to their own country due to the COVID measures. Now, with this phase now in place, that's when you have pockets of the virus, again, asymptomatic and all these things. We don't know. They already had the 21-day quarantine. And look at that. Look at how China improvised. They had the 7, well, they had the 14, and then they had the 14 plus 7. And then now they're, scaling it back because they realize that even though you have all these long duration of quarantine, as long as you're asymptomatic, it doesn't matter. So instead of further prolonging the process an individual has to undergo to quarantine, they scale back. And they knew that even if there is the virus out in the open, there is measures to control it, like locking down certain estates, just like what Alex is experiencing now. He's got a few cases in his estate, and his estate's got locked down until it gets the all clear. Same thing with Shanghai before, right? There were pockets, and then most of the people coming into China actually went into the Shanghai airport. I believe there are a few airports designated for either foreigners or abroad coming back to China to be those central locations. And then it just happened that the authorities or the governance of Shanghai didn't handle the situation as well as they should. And it's all case by case. So that's my point I want to make, that for some reason there is no good that China can do. If you do it this way, you get to be sit that way. If you do it that way, and then people can't see the real what's going on. Alex,
I have to agree with you on that, and it's really a lot of people that don't understand what this stands for. It's not saying zero, as Hang has mentioned here. It's not talking about zero COVID. And I'm going to read this here from Hang. Thank you very much for commenting during the program. It's greatly appreciated, and we can use some of your quotes.
Thanks,
they
Hang.
help us educate everybody. He says, they keep misleading, saying it is a zero COVID-19 protocols instead of saying it is a dynamic zero COVID-19. The operative word is dynamic. And indeed, it is dynamic. The way it is done. I had some footage here I played on a show the other day about going out into the neighborhood, how it happens. I'll try to find it during the show here while we speak. But we're going to go to a headline that you brought up to us. Let me just have a look here, Noel. One moment. And don't worry, when we get to the new studio, guys, we'll be able to help get our information up on screen a little bit faster. All right. So this is the Bloomberg story that we spoke about, called the China COVID zero policy exit in 2023. Now, I love how the Bloomberg uses that 2023 figure. Well, we're in October, guys. 2023 is about 45 days away. So let's not get too carried away. But tell us about this article.
Yeah. So this article briefly talks about how the IMF projects China, right, with the vaccines that they have implemented, that they will slowly but surely exit this COVID zero, again, no dynamic, but COVID zero strategy in 2023. And as discussed in the previous stream with you, Alex, we mentioned about the pointers, and you yourself were boisterous about and confident about this happening in 2023. But again, really, we don't know is what I have to say. And so far, Bloomberg is the only article that sort of deals a little bit on this, because the world is eagerly awaiting when China can open its borders, and that is the fact, right? Businesses, family, friends, they all want to reunite. They all want to come in and manage their business, and then secure deals and all these things. So the world needs to carry on, and the manufacturing hub of the world needs to open up for that to happen.
True to the point on that, Noel, the world should be embracing what China is doing. Imagine if they just let it rip. I'm sure you guys have heard that term from me a few times, the let it rip mentality. That doesn't work. It definitely doesn't work. Other countries have used it. People have died. People continue to be infected 2, 3 times already. It's not working. And that's why I'm saying, we have other countries, 186 of them around the world that are trying to give China advice. Let me show you guys here in my district what happens about food distribution. And Noel made a really interesting comment that this is all about accountability. These districts, whether they're community leaders, I don't know if you've heard of that word in the West before, but community leaders are responsible for their community, okay? And they're responsible to maintain that logistical lines are still open, food is available to maybe the elderly or people that can't get it, or it's just the government taking responsibility here. And here's an example here that I just pulled over to the side of the road. This is outside one of the buildings, and this is a prime example of how they deal with it. And here it is. This is just a quick video just to show you guys what happens here in a district in Chongqing. Hubei district. But here we are. Just to give you an idea what happens during a lockdown like this building. As I said, each building, each community is responsible. And it looks like these have been allocated to residents here, a vegetable and fruit packet given to the residents here of this building. This is just one example, and this is how the coordinated efforts start. Hopefully we can combat this and be open in a few days, but immediately already food is being distributed. Now, no one's being locked, no one's being shackled. Yes, some buildings will take measures because they're being responsible, and they will take measures to say, wait a minute, if you can go out, get groceries if you want, or we can have some delivered for you. There's numbers, of course, some of the needy. They are trying to cover every aspect during this, we'll call it mini lockdown. Even using the word lockdown is not really giving it its proper name, but hey, that's what we're gonna accept here. I've got another video to show you about just how coordinated this is. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Now, to tell the viewers, to give them a size of this district, it's pretty big. It's got about 3.7 million. And Noel was right on that only certain parts of this mega city are shut down. The Yuzhong area, it's open. That's where the big skylines and the beautiful Raffle City and all that is located. There's other parts of, Jiangbei, which is the financial part of the city with the beautiful IFS mall. Consumption, trade, economics is still going on, but at a responsible way. Now, people would say in the West, but we hear in the media that people didn't get groceries, or they show that, people are sharing groceries through their windows. Hey, if I had a neighbor that had a bag of chips and I could trade a couple of carrots for it, I would do it. Like it's this kind of stuff. And then they go on about people being welded into build. It's just crazy. Let me give you a true on-the-ground look on how a community deals with it. Let's have a look. Just a nice little stroll in Hubei. Hubei district, population 3.7 million here in Chongqing. As you can see, there's one of the major shopping malls. Are not and it's closed because of pandemic measures.
Road coming into Yubei district.
It gets me wondering, you know, you are showing
the gates
such scenes of China
are closed,
and we have
buses
people
on the
who
road.
have, you know, green
Barely
screens
any
and
cars.
they show
If there's
just
any cars, they're mostly on.
images of China. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Have those guys ever shown the Raffles cities and the the beautiful airports and all these things?
They haven't. No. But, you know, you could see the measures here. Now, that stuff up on the left there, that is actually construction barricade because there's another shopping mall that is going to be put up in this area. But you can see that they have a way of containing it. They do shut down the...
that's the Ai Chongqing, right?
Yes.
Okay, there we go.
That's the media building there. And you can see they closed down the CRT, you know, the rail transit line into this area. And that's being responsible. It's just total responsibility.
Hold on. Look at how nice that entry to the subway looks. I mean, come on.
I know yes. And by the way, for the viewers, the subway is air conditioned. Okay. Now here's where we get to the interesting point here. This is a major arterway into my district. And this is the one to the shopping mall. You'll see there's barricades there. And it's amazing. Now, this was done quickly. It was done very well. And it was also communicated to us here in the Yubei district that this was going to happen. No surprise. No, you can't go out, no major no air alarms or anything like that. That the collective West would say in their media. Sorry about my driving, guys. I am.
Oh, you drove?
I was on my e-bike.
E-bike. Okay,
energy
I was wondering,
bike, guys. That costs me a whopping $2 a month to operate. Okay, the e-bike, but I'm on my e-bike here. But that just shows you around my neighborhood. And I'll speed it up a little bit here to show you. There's the barricade, basically says, deliveries are included. And right here at the major arterway is where they do have the containment, the epidemic staff, the healthcare workers. If you're going to get in here, you're going to get tested. But they're basically saying, don't come in. Yubei is the north part of Chongqing City. That is correct. Thank you very much for pointing that out. They are still allowing, deliveries and essentials that need to come in here. But this is how they do it. And you know what? I'm okay. I'm safe. I'm not getting COVID. I don't want to get COVID. Who wants to get COVID? I don't want to get COVID. So there you have it,
You'll
guys.
be surprised. You'll be surprised, Alex. There are people that I know especially went to get COVID so that they can get it over with. That's just silly. That's just absolutely crazy.
So yeah, the press conference, we're going to, there's a couple more things I want to show you guys here, about the speech yesterday. And then, Noel and I will, have a couple more comments, to this, but, let's just see, where is this story I want to talk to you guys about? Yes, so many things, Hey, where is it? Okay, I'll show you guys in just a moment here. I'm going to close down a couple more of my windows and can't wait to get into our new studio in the Ai Chongqing offices. It is going to be a beautiful one. And it's going to be a very interactive studio. And I can't wait to get Noel on the program when we have it. It's going to be amazing. And hey, maybe you'll get down to Chongqing here again soon so that we can... definitely have another great collaboration together. Okay, so these were some of the achievements yesterday that he mentioned during the 20th CPC National Congress. He was going into details about these stories, okay? And every key aspect of it, he followed. There was no denying that he followed every single piece of news that we or the West wanted to know. What's amazing is the West only focused on that one small little bit. And that is really, when you think about it, that is really, really disturbing, because this is a major event for the world. This is something that needs to be followed professionally with integrity, but they don't do it. And that's what bothers me. I'm going to show you guys some slides here. Basically, talking about the economy, talking about people's welfare, talking about diplomacy, talking about the military. These are all points that have been discussed. There's no waffling, or as Ken said, which Joe Biden would say, "Come on, man." There's none of that stuff going on. It's pretty straightforward. Some of it is pretty deep and in depth. But what can I say? So we'll just check back in on the latest conference that is going on here, the Q&A. There's some more Q&A going on. And once we're done with that, we will then finish off our show today, guys. Tomorrow, I have got another event coming. I believe I have Kurt, otherwise known as Guelo 60, coming on the program tomorrow. It'll be interesting to see Kurt's perspective, as he is now in Canada. Let's have a listen in on a little bit more here of the conference, and then we will wrap it up, guys.
First, we will enhance our strong suits and fix the shortfalls. On the one hand, based on our strength in industrial scale and supporting facilities, and first starter advantages in certain sectors, we are accelerating the implementation of the 5-year action plan for raising the core competitiveness of the manufacturing industry.
Action
and
plan,
we are cultivating a host of strong industries,
implementing,
in the process of
investing,
upgrading traditional industries and cultivating emerging industries to elevate the competitive edge throughout the industrial chain in key areas. On the other hand, we will focus on areas crucial for our country and people concerning strategic security, and concentrate on weak links based on relevant incentive mechanisms. We will work on breakthroughs in weaker areas and cultivate a more favorable environment to win the critical battle over core technologies. We are also implementing the project to remake the industrial base and seek breakthroughs in our weak links in key and fundamental areas. Second, we need to stabilize the industrial production. We need to strictly implement the 5 no requirements in COVID response, prevent arbitrary shutdown of enterprises crucial for the industrial chain and for people's basic needs. We'll firmly avoid taking a simplistic and one-size-fits-all approach to COVID response with excessive restrictions to ensure orderly operation of industrial parks and normal and stable production and operation of enterprises. We'll also keep the logistics smooth and ensure sound and safe supply of energy and the raw materials. And my colleague has also covered the relevant elements. And with these efforts, we will see that key industrial and supply chains will run smoothly. Third, we will improve the industrial outlay. We will take a coordinated approach across the country to improve the layout of industrial and supply chains and make them more efficient. We will strengthen overall coordination of major productivity, step up planning and policy guidance, avoid blind investment and redundant construction. We will thoroughly implement the national project to develop clusters of strategic emerging industries and build tiered development system for industrial clusters. And will cultivate a host of growth engines for strategic emerging industries with unique features, complementarity, and reasonable structures. Fourth, we'll deepen opening up and cooperation. This is something we have always stressed. We will promote the smooth operation of the industrial and supply chains of foreign trade and support the development of cross-border e-commerce and overseas warehouses. We'll raise the quality of foreign investment, encourage more investment in high-end manufacturing and high technology, and support the innovative development of foreign-funded R&D centers. We will promote pragmatic international cooperation and high-quality Belt and Road cooperation, advance high-quality implementation of RCEP, make good use of various multilateral mechanisms, and build a mutually beneficial international cooperation system for industrial and supply chains. We'll continue to foster a market-oriented, law-based, and world-class business environment and unleash greater market vitality and social creativity. Fifth, we will strengthen risk prevention. We will work to ensure that the policies for stabilizing growth will deliver results. And we will do more to ease the difficulties facing the MSMEs and enable our policies to bear fruits. We will strengthen production, supply, storage, and marketing systems, including food and energy systems. And for those important industrial and supply chains, we would also help establish relevant systems. We would also enhance market oversight and ensure stable supply and prices of commodities and raw materials. We will improve the risk monitoring system for industrial and supply chains, enhance the ability to promptly identify and detect risks and address them accurately and effectively. We will strengthen accountability of all parties, ensure early detection, reporting, assessment, and handling of risks, and earnestly maintain safe and stable operation of important industrial chains and supply chains. Thank you.
Well, there you have it. Once again, they're not deviating away from what they've said. They've stayed with the program. You've heard key words here. These should be great words for the Western media to like. Investment, stimulate the economy, investing in the people, opening trade channels, investing in with our international partners, in the development of the Belt Road Initiative. These are, I mean, what's wrong with the world here? It's incredible.
Yeah, Alex, one of the key words he just mentioned also was that there's no one turnkey solution for the COVID situation, right?
Of course.
So it's dynamic. It's based on case-by-case basis. And look at him, the way he talks.
Yeah.
He's actually a boring person in the eyes of the Western media. Right? He's boring, but he's serious. And as Andy mentioned in his reports on China about the Congress, all these people are at least university graduates. You know, you're not just some guy who have not attended the necessary education and qualifications, and they just get thrown in there because you did a good business, and then you got famous.
You're right.
And, it's all
good point.
It's all a merit, and
once again for our viewers here, you have to understand the complex way that this government is set up. It's a model that is working in the modern day age that we're living now. People have a issue just with even the name. Maybe they could do a rebranding, but it's that stigmatism that is really people, they can't grasp it. And I bet you if you asked young kids in the Western countries, let's say from an age of 10 to 15 years old, what's the first thing that comes to their mind when the word China is said? It'd be very interesting to hear what word they would come out, and they don't understand because it hasn't. And I am one of those people that was brought up in the Western school systems. You have to remember that before the internet, before 1996, there were not many books in our libraries because, well, the curriculum didn't accept these type of books to study Russia. All we had was the Britannica encyclopedias giving us a view on China. The internet broke that. And each year we are educating ourselves more and more. And, I have all these people, well, Alex, if you think China is so great, if you think it's so awesome, why don't you move there? Here I am. Here I am.
And Alex, it is not that we are saying it's perfect. No,
of course not.
We never said that. No commentator ever said that this is perfect. There are policies that's implemented that is not good for some people in China. For example, when the government imposes better measures to prevent pollution, which involves more checks, which involves the factories having to commit to buy recyclable machines that turns their toxic fumes into better stuff. All these and processing the paints and the waste, toxic waste that goes into the sewers. All these things, it costs money, so it's not good for the factory owner. So instead of earning so much that he normally would, he now gets to only earn this much. So he's not happy. But who benefits, right? The environment, the people, right? People who have so it's not for everybody. So we are not saying that it's the perfect system. No system is perfect. There are people who are against the policies. Definitely, there will be Chinese people against the CPC, not happy with the I think it's called the Shepao, which is some kind of fund that you put money in so that you can actually get your future in the elder years secured. So they were complaining about that because you don't get to see all your money. You get to only get a bit of a payout every month when you reach a certain age. But then again, these are all systems for those who can't have a saving plan. These are all measures put in place so that these people would not be in the streets homeless in 10, in 20, 30 years. So there are policies in place. They obviously looked at various things around the world where you can implement this, implement that. And I would dare say that most of these like new housing that the government is building is basically from the Singapore model, where, Singapore's government built housing for the people versus private developers. So there's a lot of things that China, if you look at it, they have looked at other country and then they have implemented and then they've further revised and make it even better. And that's my point of view.
Noel, I don't think the audience is aware of your nationality.
Oh, I'm actually Singaporean. Chinese, obviously looking Singaporean. So back in the day, my ancestors has to have came from China via boat to Singapore back in the day. I don't really know my ancestry because my dad is an orphan. So in that sense, but based on what people are saying about my tonation, I probably am from the Fujian area. So yeah, I'm Singaporean, and that's another topic altogether because Singaporeans feel that they are Singaporeans and not Chinese, even though the heritage is there, which is a different topic altogether.
I want our audience, if you have any questions, to ask them whether they're on the topic of, how to get into China, what's going on in China, stuff like that. We're here to answer your questions. Our feet are on the ground here. It's just something I wanted to make another point to the people watching today. You're going to hear some other critics of this country say that, the government is bad. It's terrible. It's not for the people. Let's do some quick additions, shall we? So approximately, and I don't have the exact figure here, so I'm just going to pull it from what I've been reading. Between 90 to 95 million people are party members. So let's start the additional thing here. So of those 90 to 95 million, some of them are probably married. Okay. Some of them probably have children. So let's move that number up. Some of them have brothers and sisters. moms and dads, grandmas and grandpas, aunts and uncles, and so on and so forth. That number 95 million is, yes, the party members, or 90 to 95 million is party members, but the people that are connected to those people, I think the average person with a little bit of intelligence can add up the numbers and come up with a conclusion that, in fact, this country is represented by the CPC and all the people that are attached, we'll say, to that, whether they're aunts, uncles, grandmas, grandpas, brothers, sisters, or whatever. They definitely speak for the country and the people, because if they didn't, you wouldn't see 1.5 billion people move this country forward. Do you think you can move a country forward of people that do not agree with any of the policies in this size? Well, we've seen other countries try to impose certain things that its people didn't want, and, well, they're still reaping the repercussions about that as we speak through the Canadian law courts right now. Where is this in the headlines? We are now seeing the authorities that overreached their mandate, what they were allowed to by law, as these court cases now stream through the Canadian courts and clog up the court system of all the wrongdoing that happened during a failed COVID policy. But here in China, we're 3 years into it. They're getting smarter by the day, and they're understanding how to live with this, get on with this. No, they're not going to tomorrow morning throw all the measures out the door. It's the way it has to happen. Yeah. Now, to all those people that want to come to China, I think we understand. As content creators, Noel has some amazing content that he's put on his channel over the last few years. We met because of YouTube. Our videos have been viewed millions of times by people. We get many people saying, how do I come to China? Stay the course. Each government in each country around the world has its different measures to apply for a visa to get into the country, whether it's educational visa. That might be an interesting way of learning through some of the universities here, or other entities that may be able to allow certain types of education. Of course, looking from a business aspect, if there's some trade shows that are going on, or if you have a business interest, look at that measure. That I do know that some of the business visas are now opening up. Some of the educational visas are opening up. Not fast and furious like the world wants this country to do, but this country,
the world demands.
Yeah, the world demands. But they are opening. Things are moving slowly. So if you are looking to come to China, just get on your local, well, we'll call it the government embassy in that. Let's say you're from Germany. Go to the Chinese embassy in Germany and say, I want to go to China. How do I get to China? How do I apply? What visa can I apply for? Just tell me what's open. Is it business visa? Is it educational visa? Then come on the internet, or come on, follow other people that are putting out content, like Andy in China, like Noel Lee, like Fernando with Fermube, who has an excellent channel that can educate you. Mario in Shenyang. These are names of people that have been established here for years. They can point you in the right direction. They can help you want. And I understand the frustrations of wanting to leave certain countries that have absolutely failed in their attempts to take care of their citizens. This is a moment in history where would you have heard it that so many people in the collective West want to leave and come to China? There's a stereotype that I bet you'll never read in the paper, but I guarantee you that the second that China is fully open and welcoming international people around to live, to reside, to retire for those reasons, there is going to be a big rush to get to China. Why? Because they have proven over the last few years that investment, people, peace, prosperity, environment is a key importance to them. And it's not an aggressive country, but of course it's going to stand up for itself if it's ever threatened. Noel, over to you.
Yeah. Well, first of all, if you want to get into China, vaccinated is one of the key things to do, right, Alex? If you're not vaccinated, then the chance of being able to be let in, I would say, is very slim. Again, this is just my personal opinion. I really feel I feel for the people who want to come in. I got many friends who wants to come into China, because coming into China before COVID was an annual thing. They come to China for business, right? They come to China for conventions. It's not something like, oh, I got to go to China because of this and that. It's just a normal thing to do. And on the other hand, I just feel that because of the pandemic, because of the way the entire world handled it, that was basically a mishandling. Even the best intentions of countries had to just give up, like Singapore. Singapore cannot remain closed because we saw businesses collapsing, people out of jobs, and it was really dire. The government was handing out real money to help out with the situation, but it can't go on forever. And that's the reason why Singapore, again, got a credit to the government who handled the reserves. And that was a time that the reserves was being used to help see out the times when the country was closed. But having said that, even Singapore and all the other countries that have the good intentions of keeping people safe had to just, we can't handle it anymore. We have to just do it. And that's the sad thing. So again, brings me back to the point, because Singapore depends on tourism to survive. We have no natural resources.
Yeah. Same with Thailand.
But our people and tourism. So that's why we have to do it. China, on the other hand, does not depend on tourism to survive. Okay. So you may argue that, yes, they need to get the business going. So that's why as you said, Alex, business visas are opening up. And it's true. I have also had true accounts of people from Scandinavia and other countries who have successfully came into China in the recent months because they had applied for that business visa. But that business visa would allow them to come in for like 6 months. And then thereafter, it's another story for those who want to stay here permanently. I can tell you that these people that I know are actively searching for a spouse to remain in China. It's true story. All right. So not to sound too bleak about the situation, unless, of course, based on trajectory, based on vaccine development, based on measures to control the virus, if China do open up in 2023, again, don't expect it to be like a grand opening where it was free for all. It's still going to be very controlled. You may get, again, this is my own personal opinion based on what I'm seeing, you may get a short-term visa to come into select places where they have good control measures, like maybe Shenzhen, maybe Chongqing, right? But if you're going to venture out into other places, then you might be declined. I think that could be the case. Yeah.
But, having said that, that's stay determined, stay on your goals, stay on your dreams to want to come to this country. That's right. I can say dreams and China in the same sentence. And I think a lot of people here, it's nice to see Emily watch the program today. Thank you so much for your great content as well. Keeps us all busy here during these times and doesn't make us feel alone here in China. We have a couple more topics we're going to talk about here. And this is a good point with Kevin. Kevin has talked about China has a self-sufficient ecosystem economy with a dual economy. Noah, what is your thoughts of the eco industry here? The development of China's industry here. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, it is very true that there's a part of the Chinese population that is also feeling the stress of this fact that China is not open for international people, even as close as Hong Kong customers. So Shenzhen itself, which is the closest to Hong Kong, there are many businesses that have already shut and it's not going to come back. For example,
of course.
The massage parlors, right? Spas. This is very big in the Shenzhen area, where Hong Kongers will come over in the weekend to enjoy, some relaxation in the spa, good massage, good food, entertainment, movies and stuff like that. They have it all in the spas, right? It's a one-stop shop for relaxation. You can bring your kids and everything. So these kinds of establishments which have closed would not come back because the masseuse and the people working there would have gone back to their hometown and started something else, even if they have started a small foot massage place of their own, or even they change professions totally. So, there are real situations where people lose their livelihoods, and that is the effect. And and this is it's like an evolution, right? Either you change and adapt or you get phased out. And this is something that applies to anything. I can bring my example of my father's business back in the day where he was doing microfilming. So microfilming is basically taking all the documents like newspapers, receipts, invoices, taking a camera and take a picture of it and put it into a little chip, a little film that you archive it, and then you check it out. But that business was finished when they introduced scanning, right? You scan and you put it into a CD or a small little thing. So when things like this happen, when you are phased out, you don't complain. You have to react and do it. And that's the difference between being homeless and not being homeless.
It's a tough time here. I'm reading some of the comments, on the side here.
And if I may, sorry, I saw a comment from Hang that Singaporeans have a hatred for mainland Chinese. I'd like to clarify that from my point of view, okay? Because I think what happened is that in somewhere along 2005, when I left Singapore, the Singaporean government opened up its borders to a lot of expats. And among those expats are a lot of mainland Chinese. So even my own house, we had actually rented out a room to a mainland Chinese family. So the thing about this so-called hatred is because when we introduce a sudden change that we can't adapt, we are fearful. We react in a certain way because it's a knee-jerk reaction. Now, why do I say this? Because, for example, when you have the mainland Chinese doing hot pot in their rented room, so that's when we will feel like, oh, why? That's not good. That's not acceptable because you are perfuming the whole place with your hot pot in the room, which is not good, right? There's no ventilation. Yeah. And for example, when you have mainland Chinese talking loudly, right? Then we are like, oh, we don't talk that loud. So when they talk loudly, we feel that it's a intrusion or it's like uncivilized. But that's the way they talk in China. We tend to talk a little bit louder, right? So and it's not for everybody. You can see that the people on the television who are presenting themselves, they don't talk loudly. You can go to the many places that you dine and have a coffee in Chongqing and anywhere in China, and you have also the section that talks properly. So again, it's about what you perceive. So the moment you perceive that and you react to it, then that's where you get that conclusion that there's a hatred. I don't think there's a hatred. In fact, the mainland Chinese people are the ones that took up jobs that Singaporeans don't want to do. Singaporeans don't want to be a taxi driver, a bus driver, the cleaner that wash dishes, the hawker that makes noodles. So how does these things carry on if Singaporeans don't want to take up these jobs? So the government had a plan, and that was the plan, right? It's all based on if then else, right? Otherwise, if the government had not bring in these people, expats, to drive the buses, to fill the hawker stalls with food, Singaporeans will suffer. And that's the thing about Singaporeans, that sometimes, again, we have to look ourselves in the mirror and be grateful for what we have, and then understand why are we experiencing some of the things that we don't really like. And that applies for everybody, even in China, most importantly in the West. It's time for that self-reflection. After Mr. Xi's speech, the camera brought us back into a studio where the presenter was talking to two guests. And again, anybody can say that these people are coerced, or they have already rehearsed this. They will speak nice about the speech. Of course they will, right? Of course they will. And even if it's propaganda, it's good propaganda, because you are uniting the people towards a common goal. However, in the West, after a major speech like that, you'll have a studio of pundits like disagreeing. Oh, this is wrong. That's and you are now brainwashing. How is that different, right?
Well,
would you rather brainwash yourself to do good, or brainwash to do bad? Anyway, Alex,
to be fair, Noel, the collective West, yes, when they watching their leaders, that's okay for them to be critical if they want to be. That's my opinion. And I understand. But we are trained in the West of he wins, I lose, or I win, he lose. That's been trained into our mentality. That's the competitiveness. That isn't a nation that is gathering around its people. That is a nation of you're in or you're out. And this is going out to a couple people viewing today here. I know there's a lot of people going through a lot of tough times right now. Stay focused. Better days are ahead. When China opens and you can get here. You will hear it from us first when this country opens wide open, or if we hear anything that could help you come and enjoy China, whether it's for an education, whether it's for an investment in a business or a partnership or a collaboration, or whether it is to simply visit this country or maybe meet someone in this country that might be, you might get married. Who knows? All the reasons for it. But I just trying to tell the audience, I see many people that want to come to China. Stay the course. It's coming. It's coming. It's not too long now. I know that some of your governments have let you down. I understand that. But be positive. This is a great community that we have here. Continue to come to these shows to embrace the positive energy that is coming out of China. The people in the chat group, take care of each other. You guys, chat amongst yourselves. I think that is a very healthy discussion. Here's a comment I'm bringing up on the screen here from Chu. Alex, I just watched this format DFAT Australia China Council scholar saying that people in Xinjiang are dying of starvation because the China zero COVID policy. Is this true? I think you should ask the person that spoke about it if it's true, or if that person is concerned about their integrity.
Show the facts.
Because this is an absolutely crazy comment to see. It is people that are disillusioned. It is people that are out of touch and totally brainwashed. Yes, that's true. And it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And you will get that. Here is another comment. Can we talk about chip sanctions? I heard it's making people choose between their jobs and their U.S. citizenship. Noel.
I heard about this through one of my chat groups as well, that they are making people who are in this industry, experts in this industry, make a choice, right? And these are mostly talking about Chinese nationals in the USA in this line of work who have attained some kind of a green card and making a choice between getting this and coming back to China. So this is something that I've not really dwelt on, so I wouldn't comment too much, but I did hear about it. And again, I think I had to pass the floor to you, Alex, because I've not really dwelt into this.
So EL, I want to go to China, but my Mandarin is really bad and I'm Chinese American. LOL, I feel ashamed. Don't feel ashamed. Here's some good news. Technology is on your side. You're talking about a Canadian that doesn't speak Mandarin, but I can order taxis. I can stay in some great, amazing hotels. I can maneuver around town. I can haggle for some good deals on some clothes. The only thing that has changed in my life is I'm in a greater country than I recently had lived in. And I'm proud that I made the move and brought my wife to such a fantastic country. I'm here on a mission. I'm here on a mission to get the message out for China. I could have easily just sat back and not said anything about it. Like Noel as well, he is on a mission to educate people. He went to very controversial parts of China, according to the collected West media, that is. But he reported on true events that happened there. We take our shots. We take our shots from the Western media, these hit pieces that come after us. But we are continued to strive forward to tell a good message. Something else that I just want to educate the staff with, the viewers. Noel and I were talking before the show and talking about the cost of living here in China. Of course, we're in two different parts of China. There's some good news for you. It might take a little bit of savings to save up to make a move to China. But when you are here in China, you can choose kind of your cost of living. And surprisingly enough, I will give you an example of Chongqing. Of course, there's expensive Shanghai. Yes, of course, there's expensive Beijing. We know that. We know it. And that's the beauty about educating you guys about cities like Chongqing, or where Noel is Dongguan. Dongguan, did I pronounce that correct?
Yeah, that's right. That's
Dongguan.
right. Yeah.
Chongqing here in a brand new building. 30-floor view of a beautiful shopping mall, nice complex that just came up, will cost you for about 90 meters, fully furnished apartment will cost you about $260 brand new. If you want to move to a smaller apartment, I've seen some go as low as about $120 a month. Now, does China being hit with massive fuel shortages and massive food shortages so that you see skyrocketing inflation? Oh, no. That's what they're not going to tell you. That's what not all these hit piece makers are going to say. It's crumbling. Is it crumbling? I'm getting to you, Noel. I got to let this one go, man.
Speaking, you mentioned one word that got me thinking. You mentioned about inflation. And this is something that, again, is not China related, but I want to mention it because you mentioned it, the word inflation. So I was just on I was watching the Trevor Noah show, the daily show, right, where he talked about inflation. And this was just a few days ago or last week. So he's talking about how in the US, inflation is real, and how the government who said that it's not going to happen has happened. But I feel when I watched it, I felt that Trevor wasn't the best person. Yes, he's the host, but he's not the best person to talk about inflation because he is not infected. He's not affected by inflation.
Of course,
right? Your Stephen Colbert's, your Trevor Noah's, they should not be talking about inflation to their audience. They should be bringing somebody onto the show who is affected by inflation, and yes, interview the person and talk about inflation that way. Don't talk about inflation when you are earning millions of dollars.
I agree with you.
That's just my rant.
And Noel, I agree with you. They should bring somebody that's in our audience on the show, because our audience is affected by inflation. I see it. I read it. We read it on a daily basis here, that people have had enough in the collective West countries. You know, I was just seeing the prices in Thailand just yesterday. I was gobsmacked by what happened. Inflation is out of control there. I mean, hotel rooms at $400, $500, $600 a night in Thailand, Noel, in Thailand. Okay. how are you going to get a rebound in your tourism industry? First, when you have inflation that is out of control, and second, the Chinese market's not traveling there right now. So here's a comment. Wow, could only dream of such low rents. That dream's going to come true. Stay
Which is
positive
why,
on
Alex,
it. Yes.
there's this talk about the global reset. I'm sure you've heard the term. I'm sure you've investigated into it, right? That's the reason why all these things are not going to go away. Even in China, there is people feeling the pinch of the higher gas prices.
Of course. Yeah,
yes,
absolutely.
Absolutely.
But there's alternatives to that.
Yeah. So even if you mentioned about the lower cost of living in Dongguan itself, I have locals telling me that this is now, I can't afford this anymore. So there is, like, it's all relative, right? So let's put this in perspective.
I get that. But if we look at transportation, some countries look at transportation as necessity. Okay.
Right.
They need that car to go to work because the infrastructure is not there. Some other cities look at cars as a luxury. Okay. Because the infrastructure is not there. Right. I'm living in Chongqing. I have many ways of getting to where I need to go. A subway, a monorail, a bus system. That is good. That is not once an hour. That is not
yellow cabs.
I have an e-bike. I spent $400 on an e-bike, and I pay $2 a month to charge this bike.
Yeah.
So I have an alternative here in China.
Yep.
Sure. Maybe I could buy a car. Maybe I will buy a car.
Yeah.
But if it impacted my life, where I purchase a car, I lose money on depreciation, which this is how if you don't think the Western media knows how to be propaganda machines, they convince people to upgrade their cars almost every 2 years and lose money depreciating, because you got to have that new car because your neighbor's got it, but you don't. Don't you feel left out of having this new car? You better buy now because rates are going up, but get it while it's low. Propaganda pushed down to the throat of people in the West. And what happens? They load them up with debt, and then people get caught in this trap. And the next thing you know, they're loaded up in that debt until a mortgage goes from 20 years. In my lifetime, it started at 10, went to 20, went to 30, and now sometimes we're seeing 40-year mortgages come around. You give a 25-year-old 480-year mortgage, what's he going to do? He's going to retire at 65, maybe, if he lives that long, because the life expectancy is falling in these countries. So when it comes to transportation, how to minimize your costs here, China does have almost a solution. It's not 100%. I agree with you. No, I totally agree with you. It's not all roses and happiness. But if you sacrifice that car and took public transit is an investment here in the country. We're not talking a small investment. We are talking a staggering amount of money that is put in there. To take my monorail line from point A to point B is less than $1. Okay. And that's one end of the city to the other. I don't know how many kilometers. I think in total it's 20 some kilometers on one line, maybe even further. Can you take the tube in London from one part of the city to the other? I don't even think it goes to the other part. I think you have to get on another train to get to the other part of the city. You're not going to do it for under $1. Absolutely not.
Yeah, absolutely, Alex. The fact that let's not talk about fuel. Let's talk about electricity. So electric cars are very, very, very affordable.
Of course.
And most Chinese people have EVs. All right. So that's absolutely something that is
I'm going to have to interrupt. Chongqing is a major manufacturer of EV vehicles, man. They are pumping out big time amount of cars here. And the parking benefits that you get, sometimes if you're driving an EV vehicle and you have a green plate, you can get free parking. Sometimes you can park and charge and go into the mall, do a bit of shopping, take your kids for a walk, charge up the car, boom, go home.
So for the viewers who are not knowing, the car parks in China, some of them or most of them would have actually charging stations as you park your EV. So
Anyway, guys, lots to bring up on the program today. What a pleasure it was to bring Noel Lee onto the program. Noel, please drop your link into the actually put it in the main thing there, and then I'll highlight it so people can find your channel. This guy knows his stuff, everybody. He knows a lot about business. I think he won't mind if we put his channel out there, and if you have any questions about business and how to stay in China or get in China, he is definitely a guy to know. Kevin James says China's public transportation is very least expensive than New Zealand. Absolutely. Completely agree on that. That's your channel, Noel. Okay, hang on. I'm going to just put this out for everybody here to subscribe to his channel. And God, I really want to get you back on this program because I have a fantastic time always chatting with you, Noel. It's been a great pleasure with you, sacrificing some of your time for me and the wonderful iChungching audience. Once again, we had a fantastic turnout again here on the iChungching channel. We continue to grow our audience on our live streams. Wow, guys, what a massive change from about 3 or 4 months ago. We're finally really picking up some speed here, adding subscribers here on our channel, almost 1,200 new subscribers in 2 weeks. I see more of you guys are interacting in these live streams. It's been quite the day here in China. As you guys know, it's a huge week here with the 20th CPC National Congress going on. I'm going to continue my coverage tomorrow. My team after this show will be back into the research for tomorrow's show. They've been busy. We are working out of the office at the moment, but I take my hat off to the entire iChungching team for supporting. And if you want to see some major coverage on this CPC Congress that is going on, visit our website at ichungching.info. I'll put that lower here. You can see the banner is going to come up on the screen there, and you can visit the ichungching.info Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter accounts. Follow those accounts, guys, because they are up to massive amount of updating going on there. I think our Twitter feed has been extremely busy. I can't even keep up to it, but we will continue to have coverage for you. Like I said today, you can also keep an eye on the 3 p.m. Live chat that's going on the National Congress, but we did hear a lot. Tomorrow I'm going to have some highlights again. I'm going to bring you the front pages of a lot of the major companies or countries around the world. Let's hope that they're going to put some focus here on China. And once again, to everybody out there, special thanks to the Quantum for adding some comments. Hang, you're amazing. Hang, keep up the great commentary. Ken Wigger, all of the amazing content creators that are following as well. Thank you, Emily, for coming in and joining the show there again. Noel Lee, I'm going to pass the microphone over to Noel. Noel will send his last comments to you. And after Noel is done, I will let the audience chat for a couple minutes with some music. It's not going to be a quick shut off and thank you very much. We're going to wind it down nice and slow here. Anyway, over to Noel Lee. Thank you again, Noel. What a pleasure it is to have you here. And hopefully when we get back to our studios and our new studios up, we can get you down to Chongqing or up to Chongqing here and enjoy having some coffee and tea and chatting about some global issues here. Okay, over to you, Noel. And thanks again. What a pleasure.
Well, thanks, Alex, once again for inviting me back on your stream. Always a pleasure. I mean, I'm so happy that you are having me on the stream. And again, thanks to the iChongqing team, right? You can see, indeed, as Alex just mentioned, iChongqing growing in leaps and bounds. I think it's almost like close to 10K subscribers on the YouTube channel. Way to go. Keep on going. And I think Alex is building something really fantastic here, right? China needs a English platform like iChongqing to bring such streams, such content to whoever's watching, and hopefully we share these streams to our friends and family and to other people to combat that $300 million put in for so many pockets, so many anti-China channels. Remember, guys, when you see a channel that straight away talks something disparaging about China, showing, disparaging videos, always check and counter check. That's it from me this time, and then I'll see you guys all in the next one. Thank you, Alex.